So hi, Jon.
Hi, how's it going?
We are here at the audio modeling booth. We're going to look at SWAM, right?
We are going to look at SWAM today.
So talk us through what exactly is it, because it's physical modeling, right?
It's physical modeling. So most of us are used to using samples in all of our work. And they are, for the most part, a little expressionless, and they're very cumbersome. Like a lot of the great libraries that I still use are huge. They take up 50 gigs on your drive and very long load times to get the instruments to be useful. These are modeled. Everything is much smaller. It's an algorithm. It's a mathematical snapshot instead of an actual snapshot with a sample. So you have much smaller storage, you have much faster load times, and you have the ability for much, much more expression to be used, which is what, as players and producers, that we're all looking for. So I was thrilled to learn about these instruments and then get them and be playing with them. So I'm going to play for you right now an example with the flute. It's a song that I'm working on for my record, and here we go.
So can you talk us through the interface a bit and just like what's going on the interface?
The host interface at this point is a program called Camelot. It's another platform that audio modeling makes. They make it. It's to host all of your instruments and backing tracks for live performance. So we're using it for the show because it's the easiest platform to use to display everything. But these instruments themselves are just regular plugins that will work as audio units or VST plugins, the same as any other plugin that you would use, except they're a little different. So the interface looks like this.
Okay, so what have we got going on here?
And there are,
how do we switch the models and stuff? So it's fairly easy to switch models, right?
Absolutely. So they've modeled a few different flutes. So you see these changing: warm, smooth. So they've modeled a few different variations of flutes, and also they've created for the user a bunch of presets that are already kind of set up, including one of my favorites, which is the bansuri. You know, as a producer and a writer, I'm often looking for ethnic instruments that I can actually play back that will have a lot of expression like the real thing. And this has that. So the flute is just one of many. So we also have they have all the saxes, which include alto sax, tenor sax, soprano sax, and bari, and they're all fabulous. This is the soprano sax. I use this very often. Here's what it sounds like. This preset is called train. So it's an approximation of the soprano sax that John Coltrane had when he was playing My Favorite Things. You know, another thing that's very valuable, very useful for me, that I use on a regular basis. So, what
Brilliant.
else would you like to know?
Let's just hear some more sounds. If you've got any more examples, that would be great.
So here's an example of one of the string sounds, and this is the violin. And for this, I'm not going to be using a breath controller. I'm going to be playing it just with a regular keyboard controller. And I use the expression pedal for expression. So with velocity, it's programmed for notes, you know, sweeps in between notes. So I can get all sorts of movement that a regular violin player would have. So we're getting closer and closer and closer to the real thing. Again, there's all different violins that have been modeled. There is all different articulation. We have a regular bow articulation. We have a pizzicato articulation. We have a collegno. We can actually move the bow in different positions on the violin.
Can we also go kind of further than modeling a standard instrument? So, for instance, like obviously a violin only has a certain range.
Right.
So, could we use the modeling to go further within the an even wider range?
You mean with the violin?
With any of the models?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, their mission has been to really do realistic models of realistic instruments. I think in the future, they're going to be looking at all different sorts of possibilities. I mean, the good thing for me is these things are all set in the range that they're supposed to be played in, and they will not allow, there are no notes available that aren't available on the instrument itself, which keeps us arrangers in check. You know, it's like sometimes I'll forget. No, that's not there. You can't play that note. So that's valuable for us. I get what you're saying, like to be able to use even a violin in a way that nobody's really ever used a violin before, which would be cool, except that hasn't been the mission so far. And for me, the way I like to use these instruments, I like the realism. I like having this available to me so that I can play something that's as close to the real thing as possible.
Brilliant.
And I have synthesizers for all the other stuff.
Of course, yeah. So is SWAM available now? What's
the SWAM has been available for quite a while.
Right, okay.
And so the string bundle's available, the woodwind bundle's available, the brass bundle's available, and they're also available as single instruments. So you can just buy the violin if you want, you can just buy the flute. Yeah, I recommend getting them all.
Brilliant. Well, Jon, thank you very much.
Thank you.